Hello everyone, this is Pico Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to talk about all of the superhero movies released within 2021 and give an overall ranking of them all from worst to best. Now there may be spoilers for all of the superhero films of 2021 within this video, so just beware when going into this overall breakdown. Now you can check out more extensive reviews of all of the 2021 superhero movies within this channel, and I'll leave some links within the description. So then we go on to this breakdown, and if you agree or disagree with any of my choices, then leave your suggestions within the comments and then we can have further debate. So first on this list at number 7 we have Venom Let There Be Carnage. The sequel to the hugely successful first film from 2018 continues Eddie Brock's frantic relationship with the alien symbiote, this time going up against a more darker symbiote force in terms of Carnage, who's inhabited serial killer Cletus Cassidy. For the most part, this was every bit as hectic and patchy as the first film, not really utilising on the real potential of the setup and not really leaving me with any enthusiasm for any third film minus the involvement of SpiderMan. A third film is inevitable given the huge financial success of this sequel, and if that was the case I'd like to see massive improvements in terms of the overall storytelling and tone, but I very much doubt we'll get it at this time. We then go on to number 6 on this list, and that is The Suicide Squad. The soft reboot sequel to David Ayer's 2016 film tried to freshen things up with a new roster of assigned criminals including Idris Elba's Bloodsport, John Cena's Peacemaker, Polka Dot Man and Ratcatcher. We had the return of Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, and of course Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. All characters reprised their roles from the first film, and this time director James Gunn, who also directed Guardians of the Galaxy movies, really doubled down on the outlandish, zany, wacky tone of the first film, upping the antes of course with the inclusion of the R-rated material. For what was really a more derivative, disposable second outing this time round, perhaps it was an improvement over the first film, but still it was too much over the top and lacking any poise and savvy or sophistication, which would have made it far more of a satisfying experience. We then go on to number 5 on this list, and that is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Perhaps a very unpopular position on this list, Zack Snyder's behemoth rendition of the iconic DC characters was fully restored to its full-hour glory following a seemingly incessant, never-ending social media fan campaign, combined also with Warner Brothers' desire to utilise their new HBO Max streaming platform. A further expansion of the failed 2017 movie, which was released actually directed by Joss Whedon. This was really a return to the far more darker, edgier, deconstructive sensibilities of Snyder's vision for this universe. As with the 2017 film, the story showcased the DC heroes fending off an invasion of Steppenwolf, who's in pursuit of the infamous Mother Boxes to serve his master, Darkseid. Whilst proving to be more unified, consistent and coherent than the 2017 film, this epic only cemented the flaws and deficiencies of Snyder's vision, taking all of the elements and dialing them up right up to 11 in terms of the slow-mo, the montages and the monologues and the wailing music. The film is every bit the endurance test, and the various chapter titles didn't help either. There's been so much debate in terms of this movie both prior and post its release, as the fan base ever holds out hope that the Snyderverse will continue in some way, shape or form, despite clear intentions from Warner Brothers to move on. However, when all is said and done, this vision ultimately failed the infinite potential of the comic book's most iconic characters, especially in comparison to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So hopefully one day someone will have enough passion and vision and understanding to do true justice to these heroes. One day we'll still be waiting, perhaps it'll be 5 years, 10 years from now, but I truly believe there will be that time when somebody eventually gets these characters right, and when it does, it will achieve the full potential that it's fully capable of. We'll then go on to number 4 on this list, and that is The Eternals. In many ways, this was the continued experimental initiative in the first steps of the Phase 4 within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this time centering on a group of super beings who were created centuries ago by the Celestials, regrouping to combat the threat of the Deviants and trying to prevent the impending emergence. It has to be admired that Marvel really went for something out of the formula, going for something far more grandiose and conceptually gripping this time round, and certainly the scope was here, especially when concerning the Celestials, which when seeing them adapted on this film truly has me convinced that we will truly see one day a Silver Surfer movie with Galactus as the main villain. But unfortunately for Eternals, there were too many times when the concepts and character motivations seemed to contradict one another, which affected the overall story. Perhaps the biggest weakness was the inclusion of 10 lead characters, some of which the movie sadly could have done without. So despite the mixed reception from fans and critics, I still maintain that Marvel should continue to try and break out of its typical formula with new ideas and characters, just this time choose more dynamic personalities, and definitely hold back on the whole diversity and representation marketing, which definitely hurt the perception of this film overall. We'll then go on to number 3 on this list, and that is Black Widow. Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff finally got her long overdue solo movie, which should have happened years ago around the time of Winter Soldier and Avengers Age of Ultron, following her death in Avengers Endgame. This story was a prequel with Black Widow on the run, coming across the villainous Taskmaster. After reuniting with her family, who helped her take down the notorious Black Widow program, this overall was a very fast-paced adventure with lots of action and entertainment. It overall was a solid outing for Natasha Romanoff, maybe denied the great heights by a lackluster third act and a disappointing villain reveal. There was still plenty of good dynamic and chemistry, especially presented by Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova, who has the potential to be a great mainstay character within the MCU. So whilst there were some flaws, I think Black Widow overall was an enjoyable installment and beginning into the overall phase 4 of the MCU. We then come up to the runner-up position on this list, and that was ShangChi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Marvel's first foray into the genre of martial arts, ShangChi saw the title character return from a long time away to face his father and confront his overall destiny. Full of high energy, great fight choreography and exciting set pieces, ShangChi and the Legends of the Ten Rings was very much the entertaining, accessible comic book blockbuster with good solid performances from all of the cast. It was only really let down by a typically overstuffed CGI climax, but despite this, ShangChi and the Legends of the Ten Rings still remained a fun, lively comic book installment, and overall was Marvel's second most successfully commercial movie within 2021. So we come to it at last then, the number 1 position, not only the best comic book movie of 2021, but also the biggest movie of 2021, and that was of course Spider-Man No Way Home. It was always going to be big regarding the popularity of Tom Holland's interpretation of the iconic Marvel character, even made more so by his huge association with the MCU, which we saw successfully begin back in 2017 with Spider-Man Homecoming. So there was very little doubt over the success of Spider-Man No Way Home, but the real story is how much it ended up exceeding even the most highest expectations, playing very much like an Avengers film instead of a normal Spider-Man film, as Peter Parker and Doctor Strange inadvertently open up the multiverse, bringing in iconic villains from previous Sony Spider-Man films. It clearly fed off fan service, which is amplified even more so by the inclusion of previously Spider-Man actors, both in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Spider-Man No Way Home provided many levels of action, drama and emotion for all of its massive audience, and despite issues with the multiverse concepts and where the character and the direction will be taken going forward for both Sony's and Marvel Universe, Spider-Man No Way Home was a prime example of a crowd-pleasing comic book movie that focused on a superhero adventure more than anything else, without any inclinations of social messaging or identity politics within its story or marketing. And in many ways, this is what all great comic book movies should do, and what they used to do in the past and present, and hopefully what they will also do in the future years to come. So that's it overall in terms of my breakdown of what I deem to be were the best superhero movies of 2021. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my choices within the comments, and if so, we can have a further debate as I mentioned before. If you like this breakdown and you'd like to see other breakdowns, I will leave some links within the channel. And if you have any other suggestions of any top 10 or best of or even worst of lists that you would like to cover within a certain entertainment genre, then let me know in the comments and I can see if I can provide you with a breakdown of those topics as well. Please also hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.